name's Daniel Fahan, a former student of SJI. I'd like to ask, during a time as a district judge, what has been the most interesting case you've seen, and how has it shaped you as a person today?
Thank you very much, I think, for the question. I think one of the... I've been hearing many cases, and as senior district judge, I would hear the cases which are of public interest, right? But one case I think stands out, even as you asked this question. I had before me a man of the cloth, if you know what I mean, a man of the cloth, coming before me and charged for cheating. Cheating is dishonesty. Your first paradigm is, how can a man of the cloth be dishonest? You follow what I mean? And each time when the man of the cloth gives evidence, he is caught out with dishonesty. He makes dishonest statements. And you begin sort of to question yourself as to what happens really to this man of the cloth, where there is an entrustment, there is a dependence, and you actually go and share your life stories with them and things of that sort. So that stands out. And I think it's important that although we do not formally say, the lesson that you ask is, although we do not formally say that we are in a position of authority or in a position of power, we actually are, in a very informal sense. In the case of the man of the cloth, in a very real sense, right? When we meet a man of the cloth, there is a certain amount of respect. And if the respect is lost, then what is the value of the man of the cloth?
Mr. Magnus, I wanted to ask you, in 1965, when you chose your bachelor's degree, what made you go into law? And what were your expectations for a career in law at the time?
You're planning to become a lawyer?
No, just curious. One of the options.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of the things was, I think Alan mentioned that I was involved in the St. Vincent de Paul Society. I was active. We used to go to the neighborhoods along the school, Bras Basah Road, Queen Street, Bencoolen Street. And if you were leaving at that time, I don't know whether Arnold, you remember?
I certainly do, actually, yes.
And in living at that time, there were a lot of slums. There were a lot of slums, and you begin to see children were out of school, parents had great difficulty navigating the systems and the processes, I think in regard to, matters of life, matters of livelihood, for example. So I think that sort of stirred my passion to be able to offer just help in a material form. We used to bring food, we used to bring rice and all that to them. But that was a material part of that. But, how long do you sustain that? And awareness and their abilities to know the processes, ability to know how to get help themselves, I think becomes critical. And that's what a lawyer does.
So were your expectations back then what you would have expected to achieve and what you are now?
Interesting. Our destiny sometimes takes a different turn. Destiny takes a different turn. And do I expect to do all these things now? The answer is no. The answer is no. I know, of course, that I would go into the public service. I was in private practice and I did not find satisfaction simply because I was working for money, for client. Whereas in public service, I was working for the values of justice, rights and wrongs, and to bring a certain sense of equilibrium. What the Bible calls a mispah, for example. You do what is right when it's wrong. You bring hope when there is a despair. You bring peace when there is none, that kind of thing. A general sense of that.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
My question is actually linked to to the points that you brought up just now. How do you draw the line between things like euthanasia and abortion? How do you draw the line between what's ethical and what's not. Like, for example, if they, like, say, if the person is suffering, do you think it's ethical for the person for the state to grant the person's death, like in euthanasia?
Yeah. I mentioned to you about the example of the mayor in New York, right? He was a Catholic, he was against abortion, and they drew a distinction between private and public morality. So the first premise is, can you draw that distinction first? Okay. But so aside from that, I mean, that is something that we can debate and we can discuss. Let's talk about euthanasia. Euthanasia, the bottom line question or the basic question is the right to life. The right to life. Of course, people talk about the quality to life, but who determines the choice of the quality to life? So the Europeans, what they have done is, when I talk about Europeans, I'm talking about Switzerland, I'm talking about Belgium, and UK is going to do that just now. UK is going to do that because quite a number of the UK citizens are going to Switzerland and to Belgium. In these two countries, they have got a legislation which is called the right to life legislation, rather than the right to die. Right to life equals the right to die. All right? It doesn't matter what your age is. It doesn't matter whether you're ill or unwell, but you have a choice of how your life is going to be. So they have got clinics there, and you pay a small sum. Of course, you have to sign consent form and things like that. And you can choose the manner in which you would want to die, and it is allowed. Would you want to do that? So I think by giving you that example, and I think within Asian values, somehow there's a sense of abhorrence of that. Intuitively, within the Asian values that we have, there's a sense of abhorrence, I think, in our life for euthanasia. Right? In fact, even in the US, there is this big issue of who pulls the plug of a patient who has been brain dead but alive otherwise. So the question is, when is death? That's another issue. Who decides that? So they have to go even to that extent. The reason why they have gone to the Supreme Court in order to make that decision was the respect that they have for life, the great respect for life. The question then is, how much respect do we have for life of a person? So that would resolve the question.
But do you think it's ethical for someone to end their life before...
If you ask for my views, euthanasia is not ethical.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not ethical. No. If you ask for my views about abortion, I say it's unethical. Unethical.
Okay.